Hello and welcome to another episode of the Aim High podcast, standing for Asian American Inspirers in Management. I'm your host, Ben Shin, and today's guest is entrepreneur and innovator Kent Yoshimura. Kent is the co-founder and CEO of Neuro, an innovative company that's leading cognitive enhancement through chewing gum and mints. Along Neuro's journey with co-founder Ryan Chen, they went on Shark Tank but walked away without a deal. But since then, Joe Rogan has shouted them out on his platform and they have blown up from there. Now his company is doing millions of dollars in revenue and was named the fastest growing brand on TikTok Shops in 2024. Their products can be found across the country and they are only getting bigger. Please welcome Kent Yoshimura, CEO of Neuro, to the Aim High podcast. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben. I'm excited to be here finally.
Yes, so to start off, we'll first talk about your childhood and upbringing. Because this podcast is centered around being an Asian American leader in business, it is important to first understand each guest's childhood and upbringing as an Asian American, because a lot of the ideas instilled within you from your parents and environment may have helped you become successful in where you are today. So for the first question, could you explain your childhood situation growing up? Where did you grow up? Did you have any siblings? And what were family dynamics like?
Yeah, so I grew up in Southern California, primarily Koreatown, then Burbank. My dad was an entrepreneur also, so he was very busy. I didn't really know him for probably the first 13 years of my life.
Really?
Because he was just traveling and always out of the house. So I was raised by my mother for the most part.
Yeah.
Alongside my sister. And it was interesting because I grew up in a predominantly white neighborhood. I went to a predominantly white school, a predominantly white high school even. And I think being Asian American in an environment like that helps you have to navigate. You know, it forces you to navigate beyond your culture. While earlier on in my life, I guess I was like more shy and reserved about being Asian American. But as you grow and you learn to embrace it, it became almost like a critical part of understanding who I was and maturing into who I was. And it was a major unlock.
Yeah. And for like your parents, you mentioned that you mainly grew up with your mother and that your father was an entrepreneur himself. What kind of values did your mother really instill within you from a young age, whether that was based on perspective on work and like success? Like what did she kind of instill within you at a young age?
Honestly, it was having a strong, independent female figure.
Yeah.
I think it just says a lot in general. And just being around my mom, how much she devoted time to us while also working. And she stopped working after a certain point, but early on in my childhood, she was, working, taking care of us, which also led me to really spend a lot of time outside the house. So I was doing sports. I was living in like a martial arts studio outside of school. If I wasn't at home and if I wasn't at school, I was doing martial arts, which kind of led me down that career path also. And I think just really seeing her balancing all those things, which you need to learn how to do as an entrepreneur and as a human being, was probably inherently inspiring in some capacity.
Yeah. And like, because your father was an entrepreneur, did you have that feeling of like, oh, I want to do this, like this is something I want to do in the future?
Honestly, so when I was young, no, because I didn't want that, as a child.
Yeah.
But also like seeing how much my dad was working, and the success and basically the success that he was building over time through his work was, I think, also deeply inspiring once I was old enough to understand the sacrifices it took to get him, to get us, the entire family, to where we are now. And really, the few times I did see him, he was obviously always tired, and that's like a core memory of mine. But I'm insanely close with my father now. After he's in his older years, and he looks back so fondly at this committing so hard to anything as a human being. Being able to commit 100% to anything as a human being is something very few people can do.
Mm.
And knowing that he did that and knowing how much joy he got out of that
Yeah.
is, I think, something that, instilled a lot of values in me.
Yeah, yeah. And when you were growing up, like you kind of mentioned like that Asian American identity, like did you either like conform to certain expectations either from your family or like the broader community, and how did you kind of handle the balance of your Asian American identity with growing up in a predominantly like white neighborhood?
Yeah, it's interesting because like a lot of it was what are like it could be as small as what food I'm bringing to lunch, and I'm
Yeah.
bringing like I'm Japanese American,
Yeah.
but I would bring like rice balls for lunch that my mom would make, or she would
Yeah.
make me like these really nice bento boxes,
Yeah.
but then everyone would make fun of me because it's not Lunchables.
It probably tastes
Even
a lot better than Lunchables though.
Oh my gosh, in retrospect, I'm embarrassed that I told my mom that I wanted, I don't know, dino nuggets instead, and pizza bagels, which
Yeah.
my mom ended up making for a short period of time.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how much influence your peers can have on you
Mm.
and how much willpower it takes also to break away from that and find yourself.
Mm.
And everyone goes through a growth journey, no matter what race you are. But for
Mhm.
my own growth journey as an Asian American, being able to find that balance of what I respect in my culture versus what I respect in the culture of living here in America,
Mhm.
and marrying those two things together uh, was very important. It was like I think pivotal in my growth.
Yeah, and then for finally, like, was there a moment in your childhood that kind of shaped your ambitions? Like you said, like we were talking about how like looking at your father and like what he was doing, but did you have like a sense of, oh, I want to like start something on my own, I want to create something, or I want to run a business? Was that ever like in your mind growing up, and if so, like why?
Yeah, I mean, I've always wanted to be an artist since I was
Mm.
little, in some way. And that idea evolved into I want to just create something that's impactful.
Yeah.
So I still do art. I paint murals, um, just around the world
Yeah.
still when those opportunities come, although I pick and choose them now. But to be able to create something with impact is, I think, like the most beautiful thing a human can do.
Yeah.
Like to come up with an idea and put it into a product, to put it into something tangible.
Mm. Yeah, and moving on to the second part of the podcast, talking about your education and earlier career. Like Neuro is doing fantastic right now, but to understand like really how you and your partner Ryan got to that point, we're gonna talk about a little bit of like the very first steps. So like, what was your college experience like, and what was it like finding your co-founder Ryan?
Yeah, so in college, I was training to be a professional athlete. I was training with a judo Olympic team.
Mm.
So I would fly out to Japan. I would spend my summers out there training at the Kyokushikan, which is a
Wow.
university out there, one of the strongest universities for judo, and then the
Hmm.
Kodokan, which is the Olympic Center, the judo center in Tokyo. And then I would fight in Thailand also. So I was really big in Muay Thai. I would fly to um, Thailand in Pattaya and train with Sit Yotong, fight in the stadium, like the Pattaya Stadium out there,
Wow.
and that was about like 5 years of my life. Um,
So you were really like a professional athlete during that time.
I mean, I was training like a professional. I was training like 4 or 5 hours plus a
Yeah.
day, and then
Yeah.
going to school, and then taking supplements, which ultimately led to the V0 formula for NeuroGum, because
Wow.
the supplements I was mixing in my room, the things I was taking to figure out what would work best for me
Hmm.
without going down the path of like performance enhancement drugs, obviously,
Yeah.
was nootropics, the cognitive effects I wanted to get. And
Hmm.
then obviously, like, how am I stacking that with things that give me physical benefits because of the training I was doing?
Hmm.
And then Ryan was a captain of his cross country and track team
Hmm.
in high school. And in college, he uh, got in a really bad snowboarding accident that left him paralyzed from the waist down.
Hmm.
So his running career, was really put on the sidelines. But the supplements that I was mixing, I was giving to him. And it made such a big impact in his life when he was getting back into school
Mm-hmm.
that after college, when we went on a scuba diving certification trip together, we
Yeah.
both realized that there's something more to this that we could do to make it more accessible, approachable, and gum and mints was the first idea we came up with. And
Wow.
here we are now.
Yeah. And when you were first trying to test out those different like things for your performance, how did you know what the things were and how to use them for your own performance?
Yeah, so I was a neuroscience major, so
Mm.
I knew at least the mechanics of the brain, some of the, I guess, the impact certain chemicals or drugs, whatever supplements would
Mm-hmm.
have on, uh, brain performance, like just general performance
Mm-hmm.
as a whole.
Yeah.
And the first thing I went down was how can I enhance cognition
Mm-hmm.
without having side effects?
Yeah.
And as I dove into that realm, I got into nootropics. Tim Ferriss during that time was very popular. He was just starting out, and Tim Ferriss would be talking about nootropics. There were all these other websites and forums, primarily Reddit, where I was on. This is like 15 years ago, but Reddit, where I was really researching with alongside peers as like a major contributor
Yeah.
on that subreddit to find what was working for others, what was working for myself,
Mm-hmm.
and through my experience, just being able to find clinical studies
Yeah.
um, through my major that I knew would make some level of impact on me.
Yeah.
And obviously, very sketchy to make yourself a guinea pig, but
Yeah.
there were certain things that I knew were very obviously working for me
Mm.
without getting crazy into like rastams or modafinil or compounds that are maybe a little bit on the fringe. And that's
Yeah.
where the natural caffeine L-theanine combination
Mm-hmm.
really came into play. And when we
Yeah.
felt that this can be consumer oriented, this could be so
Mm.
much more than just pills on a medicine cabinet.
Yeah. So then what was that step like of just having this idea of the gum and mints and kind of really creating it, or at least like getting this idea to start and creating like the business? Like what were those first kind of months of like idea creation and stuff like that?
Yeah, if when you don't know anything, you
Yeah.
try everything. And from the idea, we knew that we needed to find a gum manufacturer that could even figure out how to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
In creating a new category, we found a small mom and pop manufacturer that grew alongside us. We're the biggest product that they manufacture for,
Mm-hmm.
but they grew alongside us. They became true partners, which we got very lucky with. And I mean, beyond that, using resources like I don't even know if this exists anymore, but Thomas Net, which was the yellow pages back then, to find businesses that we could source from,
Mm.
manufacturers, learning how to build a website by just reading blogs. I mean,
Yeah.
ChatGPT, none of these things obviously existed back then. YouTube, I think it was like the era of YouTube where Charlie Bit My Finger was popular. No one's doing tutorials.
Yeah.
Um, and a lot of it was just figuring it out on my own.
Mm-hmm.
For the building side, Ryan was figuring out the finance side of things,
Mm-hmm.
and then when we ordered our first shipment of gum, it
Yeah.
all just came to my apartment. So we had 3 pallets, like 20,000 pounds of gum, just sitting in my apartment that we just had to sell through.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it worked, or
Yeah.
else I'd have a roommate still.
Yeah. And did you have any like doubts in those like beginning like stages, and like how did you overcome that and like kind of just push through like all those difficulties, ups and downs of starting your own company?
Yeah, look, the doubt never goes away. You just learn how to deal with it in different
Mm.
ways. Um, and it's funny because it's you just resiliently grind through it.
Mm.
So I'll give an example of, say, it's funny because all these issues that pop up like in the very beginning are probably issues that pop up on a daily basis now. We just don't even we just like deal with it, and it's not even a problem.
Yeah.
Even like we get frivolous lawsuits from time to time, which
Mm.
as you grow as a company just naturally happens. People that are like, hey, whatever, I got a paper cut from your packaging,
Yeah.
like, and we'll sue you, or there's all these like trolls out there, and I remember at the very beginning we got one that was like just so dumb, but about something about the pieces and the math on it, and this is another guy that sued a coin laundromat because like they couldn't get exact change for the number of coins. It was like one of these guys,
Yeah.
and the reality is we just learn how to deal with it now, and it's just a part of business.
Yeah.
So as you grow, you just build this resilience and ability to navigate entrepreneurship. But unless you
Mm.
go through it once, you don't know how easy it is or how hard it is.
Yeah. And what was timeline from you getting that first delivery of pallets to the time when you guys were about to go onto Shark Tank? Like, if you could maybe walk us through that timeline then.
Yeah, 2015, that was 5 years already. So
Mm.
really the first year of business was pretty small. It was October, so there's only a few months. And then Ryan and I were, Brian was working at Hulu. I was working at an affiliate of Sony making music for film and television.
Hmm.
But I quit that job, began painting murals supplementally while I was staying in different hospitals to doing clinical trials, making money that way, and then developing Neuro.
Mm.
And over the first 2 years, our business kept growing until we were around 2019 when we filmed on Shark Tank. We were doing about like $3.5 million in revenue at that point,
Hmm.
a year. Went on Shark Tank in 2020, right after the COVID shutdown. So everyone was home, and
Yeah.
that really just. And then Joe Rogan mentioned us at like the same time. It
So
really
was that like
happened.
right after those two things were like basically at the same
Yeah,
time? Yeah.
and thankfully those things happened at the same time because we ordered inventory for Shark Tank, and then Joe Rogan stacking onto it just kind of led to this boom. And
Hmm.
since then it's like we've consistently just grown double,
Hmm.
if not more, on a yearly basis.
Yeah.
Like last year, TikTok was like our big momentum booster.
Yeah.
This year, kind of the continued success of TikTok plus retail activations plus partnerships. And then next year, it's like getting into the bigger retailers like the club channels.
Mm.
So a lot of it is just how are we planning our business accordingly where we could keep up with things and
Hmm.
manage this growth
Yeah.
to get to the right place. We were I mean, even this year, we were the number two fastest growing business in Las Vegas.
Yeah, I saw that. Congrats.
Inc. 5, yeah, like Inc. 500.
Hmm.
So it's, or well, in the 500s, Inc. 5,000, but in the 500s, the fastest growing companies in America. And we just continue to build this momentum through careful planning,
Hmm.
hiring the right people, and making sure that we balance cash flow against inventory and all that business stuff.
Yeah. And when you were like planning on going onto Shark Tank, like what was like the strategic planning behind that? Like were you looking to like get a deal done, or were you really looking for like that marketing boost and just like that publicity that platform gives?
Yeah, we were totally looking to get a deal done. I mean,
Yeah.
we wanted to get a good deal done, but them being sharks,
Yeah.
I mean, Kevin O'Leary's deal, if people really do the math on it, is like the worst deal of all time. And then Robert Herjavec obviously gave us a low ball offer that he wasn't willing to meet us in the middle. So unfortunately, it resulted in no deal. But funny enough, there's a little secret situation happening with Shark Tank right now where we're gonna get a little bit of a redemption arc. So it's gonna be cool.
Ooh, I'm looking forward to seeing that then.
Yeah.
And then yeah, like talking about like the Joe Rogan shout out, what was that experience, or like what was your like reaction to like when it first happened, and like maybe like when it started blowing up, like what were you guys thinking, and like how did you maybe have to like think like since you're getting so many orders after like that time?
Yeah, I mean that was crazy just because it was during COVID. We didn't know what to do with the team. Ryan and I were California was a pretty tough place for me, only in the sense that like I had an art studio that burned down, so I lost all my stuff. My
Wow.
car got broken into, so I wasn't like insurance dropped me. Like there was a lot of things happening at the same time where I was
Yeah.
like my personal life, the things happening in my personal life were affecting the things happening in my business life just
Mm.
because like out of my control. And
Yeah.
I think moving from LA to Las Vegas, where things were cheaper, more affordable, moving into the suburbs so I could focus versus in the middle of downtown LA, which is a chaotic place to live,
Yeah.
especially during that time. Um, Kind of like refocused my mind to really focus on growing the business and developing it in the right way. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was. I know that doesn't really answer your question, but the Shark Tank, Joe Rogan, all these things are impetus, at least
Mm-hmm.
to the end of the day, to where I was looking to be, and 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 where I wanted to grow the business as a whole.
So when you were growing at such like a rapid pace, what were the things that you guys were trying to focus on, and like what was it like creating the new flavors of gums for like the different purposes, and like what did that look like when your company was growing?
So the big picture, I guess, mantra slash brand vision that we had
Mm-hmm.
was how do we create the next generation of gum and mints,
Mm-hmm.
where gum and mints have not been innovated forever. It is a category that just whitens your teeth or freshens your breath, and it's filled with sugar and all this garbage in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we could replace the medicine cabinet, these supplements that you only take once a day or you forget to take, and
Mm-hmm.
put them into your pocket. So
Mm-hmm.
combining this idea of a kind of like an aging category and put it together with something that's actually beneficial for you,
Mm-hmm.
really pushed us towards what are the functional elements that we could add into our products and began expanding the category
Mm-hmm.
uh, much further. And
Yeah.
so that was really the development cycle. And on an annual basis, we continue to develop, several MPDs a year.
Yeah. And what was that like actual process of like making those new formulas? Like was it you guys actually doing it, or like how were those like created?
Yeah, so we have clinical studies that we look from that already exist and
Mm-hmm.
we use as an anchor point. And then we
Yeah.
have a chemist, and we have a dedicated product development person, like
Yeah.
an innovation person in our company. But
Mm-hmm.
she goes, works with our chemist at the manufacturing facility,
Mm-hmm.
um, and then looks at flavor panel results, like so consumer demographics, Kager, all those things, and starts applying. We developed like 10 products or something at our latest innovation meeting.
Yeah.
We go there, we try it, we do like a little, powwow.
Yeah.
And the ones that win on a flavor basis and a function basis, we
Mm-hmm.
start grading and we continue to develop those products. The ones
Mm.
that might have I'll just give an example. Like gut health was like one that we developed with
Yeah.
probiotics and everything. It was awesome. It just was like the worst tasting thing I've ever had in my life.
What did it
So
taste like?
unfortunately, we have to kill things like that, right?
Yeah.
So there's like a criteria of development that we all run through together and push forward.
Yeah. And as we move on to the third part of the podcast, talking about your current career and what you're doing now at NeuroGum, as the CEO of NeuroGum, what does your role consist of, and like what are you doing on a day-to-day or week-to-week basis?
Yeah, it's not that it's it's not as glorious as someone might think. I mean, I get to do the fun stuff
Yeah.
with the paddle with Andrew Schultz and hang out at F1 and like those are very cool things. But
Yeah.
most of the time, I'm looking at P&Ls. I'm doing operating plans and seeing what to think through with the forecast, how we're doing our marketing, what teams we're developing,
Mm-hmm.
what's cash flow look like.
Yeah.
Those are, a lot of the time I'm talking with basically the core leaders and GMs of every department and making sure
Mm-hmm.
that we're all aligned against our key pillars that drive the
Mm-hmm.
business forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so like what are some, if you can say, like what are some new key initiatives or projects you guys are working towards for like the company? Any new products or flavors or anything like that that you can share?
Yeah, so some of a few cool things that we're developing into next year is a watermelon flavor and a sour flavor.
Mm.
So making everything we have is more mint flavor, cinnamon, it's the traditional flavors. How
Yeah.
do we make our product more fun and really excelling in what the gum space does best, which is,
Yeah.
flavorful, fun things.
Yeah.
That's one. But then also coming out with functions that are very just very applicable to daily use.
Yeah.
So, um, expanding some of our existing lines, realigning some of our existing lines with better ingredients, expanding internationally, expanding into retail, form factor, like different form packs.
Mm-hmm.
It's, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, of course. I mean, as the CEO, I mean, I feel like you're probably doing many different things and like leading the company forward and being kind of like the face of it. So,
Yeah, it's
I,
fun.
yeah. And I saw that like you mentioned like the F1 driver Yuki is one of like your Neuro athletes along with Andrew Schultz, like the comedian, and Steve Aoki. Can you maybe like kind of run us through the process of what it was like kind of bringing those people onto the Neuro team, and how like
Yeah.
that happened?
So one of our friends, Aaron, knew people at F1 very, very well. And
Mm-hmm.
as we began talking with different factions, we like we like associating with people that already take our product. And
Mm-hmm.
Yuki was already a fan of our sleep product.
Yeah.
So it became like this very obvious partnership there. Same with Andrew. Andrew discovered our product through Joe Rogan, and he
Yeah.
wanted to be a part of our team. And then Mitchell Hooper, World's Strongest Man, he just won the
Yeah.
Rogue Invitational. He's like another one that, he was at an event, found our product, and reached out to us. So
Really?
it's while we do pursue partnerships, we
Mm-hmm.
also only like to align ourselves with people that truly believe in our mission, because
Mm-hmm.
from there we could start identifying, one, how are people, like, how can people be themselves? We never want to force words into people's mouth, and someone like an Andrew Schultz will never accept that. So
Yeah.
how can we allow people to be themselves? Well, so they could talk to their audience in their
Mm-hmm.
way, while also pushing being able to push our product.
Yeah. Yeah. And what was that process like of creating like Steve Aoki's like new, like his own completely type of like mint, and like how did that come to be?
Yeah, I mean, funny enough, we met Steve 10 years ago now. It was literally the first year of our business, second year of our business, and we gave him NeuroGum in a Ziploc bag. And, you know, we didn't like really, we would keep up with him here and there, but
Yeah.
at some point, as our company was growing, his investment team reached back out to us, and it turned into this whole Steve loves your product. We became friends with them. Like, he lives
Yeah.
in Vegas, he's our neighbor, and uh, yeah, he's a great partner. It went from us presenting a V0 in a Ziploc bag,
Yeah.
where our product tasted terrible, to
Yeah.
now working with him, developing his own thing. So
Yeah.
it
That's
was a
so
very
cool.
cool just evolution of our partnership.
Yeah. And what would you say like has been the biggest win for the company so far?
Honestly, building the team, the way finding structure to build the team
Mm-hmm.
against a playbook. So, and every company has a different playbook.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are fairly similar, but they operate in different ways. And the biggest win is being able to have an understanding of where we're going and who we're going there with.
Mm.
That a lot of people get so deep in the weeds as entrepreneurs that they kind of forget that a company is made of usually people.
The people.
You know?
Yeah.
It's not a solo journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then for like that people part, like what do you look for people like when you're hiring for your positions to like be part of your like NeuroGum family? Like what are the things that you look for in the people? Yeah.
Culture fit is one of the most important things. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
credentials, how, based on what we're looking for, how do they fit into the ecosystem of the business and able to really excel in there. That's about it. I mean, it could really be anyone. Like, if they're qualified
Mm-hmm.
and they're cool
Yeah.
and they're not an asshole, like, you're usually hired.
Yeah. And what was like has been like the most rewarding part of building Neuro?
Every time I get a message from people saying, similar to before we started this podcast, you saying there was the wall of NeuroGum at the plug, or when I like Kim Kardashian posting about it, like
Really?
random things where it's like, wow, I can't believe this person takes NeuroGum.
Yeah.
And finding that out is so cool. You just
Yeah.
never, something that we all work so hard to create,
Hmm.
actually being used by people is one of the most satisfying feelings.
Yeah. And have you ever been like noticed on like the street or something? They're like, "Oh, are you like the neuro gum guy?" Has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, I mean, even last week I was at the gym and I was just like lifting weights, and some guy next to me was like, "I'm so sorry, like you're the neuro," like he like stop me, and he's like, "I've been following your journey since the Shark Tank days, you know,
Yeah.
it's really inspiring, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty wild. I wouldn't, it's something I wouldn't imagine because
Mm.
I wouldn't recognize people,
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah.
but it happens, and it's a wild feeling.
Yeah. And like what's been like one of the toughest lessons that you've learned as a founder looking back on like all this experience and like the journey that you've had?
I wish I hired people that were smarter than me from the very beginning.
Mm.
And I think there's two philosophies of thought. But I was so young. One philosophy is uh, work on replacing yourself. Like you've probably heard that before, right? It's
Yeah.
like, oh, you hire to replace yourself,
Hmm.
which I guess leads to a path of being hands off, and you can. But the other side is don't don't ever be the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
So if you start surrounding yourself and using your capital in the right way and hiring really great people,
Yeah.
your company is only going to get that much better. So
Hmm.
like there's one where it's like hiring down or hiring up. And
Yeah.
if I were to do it all over again, I would probably hire up faster.
Yeah. And as we move on to the fourth part of the podcast, talking about challenges and overcoming obstacles, being an Asian American in a leadership role can come with its own sets of challenges. What were some of the obstacles you may have faced in your industry, maybe due to your background, if you have faced any?
Yeah, I mean, there's a when you start getting into retail is like an old boys club.
Yeah.
So unless you have those relationships, these like deeply embedded relationships with people, which a lot of Asian Americans don't tend to have
Yeah.
because we're not like traditional CPG people,
Yeah.
it's really hard to break in.
Hmm.
And I would say it's obviously changed now, but um, it trickles all the way down to, I think culturally, Asians like don't even help each other sometimes.
Yeah.
It's like it's very weird.
Yeah.
Um,
It's like that
and
competitive
yeah,
alwaysness,
we're
like
so
fight.
competitive, right?
Yeah.
Versus collaborative. And I really wish uh, it's almost like we do it to ourselves. I
Yeah.
don't know how to explain it. Like we almost do it to ourselves, and I'm grateful for things like Gold House. Bing is a good friend of ours. Like places like Gold House, places like oh my, I mean, there's a bunch of these organizations. What
Yeah.
you're doing, like
Hmm.
people that are raising the bar for Asian Americans
Hmm.
through collaboration
Yeah.
versus through competition,
Yeah.
and that's only going to get us further.
Yeah. And what role has like your cultural background played in shaping like your leadership style and also perspective as a business leader? And how have you found ways to use it as like a strength in your career?
I think when you're Asian American, it's hard to say because I've never been any other race. But I do feel that humility and respect is a really big part of Asian American culture.
Yeah.
And that not being overly egotistical
Mm.
is, I think, sometimes very helpful.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side, I meet very egotistical people in business that have found a lot of success for themselves. So who
Yeah.
knows?
Yeah.
It's either believing in yourself or working up to believing in yourself. And I think for myself, I've worked up to believing in myself
Hmm.
to get to where I am.
Yeah. And so finally moving to the last and final part of the podcast, talking about advice and inspiration. If you had to say, what would be like the characteristics or traits someone needs to be in order to be a successful CEO and someone that can do the job well?
I would say, well, I could read our principles, like some of the principles that I give to my leadership team
Hmm.
is humility being one of them.
Yeah.
So the ability for the team to be bigger than your ego. So your
Mm.
care for your team to be bigger than your ego. Um, Being hard on problems but soft on people is another thing. Like
Mm.
if you're going to put your energy to critique and be tough on something, uh, problem solving is the way to do it versus attacking those around you, which you see happen a lot, right, in certain
Yeah.
businesses. Kaizen, constant progress over perfection. How are you constantly moving yourself forward versus waiting for perfection to happen because that's an unachievable goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then just from an entrepreneur to entrepreneur level, it's like resilience. Just
Yeah.
how are you riding the waves of change and evolving
Mm-hmm.
more so than trying to stop the wave of change.
Yeah.
Like being able to ride the wave is much better than drowning.
Yeah. And like kind of adding on to that, like what skills or like for like an entrepreneur, like when is like the right time do you think to like take that jump and really dive into like your startup idea? Like because I know it can be very risky and also can be very daunting. Like what's your advice to people that maybe want to start their own thing?
I don't think there's ever a right or a wrong time if you truly believe in your business. What is the risk you're willing to take yourself, and what's your risk tolerance? I mean, for me, I jumped really straight into. I had some money saved up, but I jumped straight into it.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a W-2 in my life. Like right after college, when I decided I didn't want to be a professional fighter, and I went into film and then like children's branding with the Coffee and Tea Leaf, and then art, music, and then Neurogum finally.
Yeah.
All those were just me trying to build my own repertoire across the
Mm.
board. And the
Yeah.
way I made money was either doing freelance work and finding ways of making, there's always ways to make money. So
Yeah.
doing freelance work or to, what I was saying, like I would stay in hospitals because and I'd just be a guinea pig for experimental medication and I'd
Yeah.
get paid a bunch of money for them to inject me with random stuff, like ways to make money everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And what like mindset do you think is essential for someone to start their own business and to be successful in the long run?
Yeah, optimism, positivity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like mentorship can play a huge role in like one's success and a company's success. Did you have any mentors along the way that helped like guide you through the process, and like what was some of the advice they gave you along the way?
Many mentors throughout my career. Obviously, some good, some bad, some you take with a grain of salt, some you embrace fully. I, it just depends. It changes in every stage of the business, whether it's, when you're starting up, finding what tactically could work for you to where we are now, it's like a nine-figure business. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, how are we working? How do you work on building a team
Yeah.
to maximize growth? How are you looking at forecasting? Like, it's the business evolves over time, and it's different. I guess recommendations apply to different phases.
Yeah. And how would you define success now, and how has that definition kind of changed or evolved over time?
Success, when I was younger, I would pull all-nighters all the time. I would sleep on average maybe like 4 or 5 hours a night.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Very unhealthy. It was my psychological threshold was bad. I would say I was psychologically not in a good place. But I thought that's what I needed to do as an entrepreneur. And
Mm.
really, the moment I crossed over into, and I thank my wife for this, but like crossed over into a place where I was mentally in a great place,
Mm-hmm.
optimistic about outcomes, clear-headed about decision making, clear-headed with the way I lead the team. All those things, I mean, it's the same as raising a child. I don't have a kid, but I assume it's like raising a child. Um, People notice energies in how you interact and how you respond to things.
Mm.
And if you're a leader in a company, it's seismic as it goes down, how you react
Mm.
to certain things. So building that emotional resilience, stability, positivity, even while you're going through strain, is so important to present yourself as a leader. Because those that are able to do that effectively are going to inspire others to feel that way as well. Like nothing is broken. Everything is fixable, you know.
Yeah.
Everything is an opportunity, not a problem. Like how are you, even like the way you speak,
Yeah.
we all can set examples for how people react to stimulus in a business environment.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the Aim High podcast today. Love talking about Neuro's journey and some of the advice at the end. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben.